Dunbeholden returned to winning ways. There were more bottles than goals in the Classico, and Cavalier remained on top of the table. But we start one place and one place only, and that's where Captain Fantastic come clutch again. This is Match Week 19 review show. Yeah, people, welcome to Jump Hill Fan. We're looking at Match Week 19, and we had some surprising results happen this weekend. But we're going to go straight to Draxall, where the number 2 seed, Mount Pleasant, was welcoming the number 3 team in Tivoli Guns. And the big story of this game before everything started was that Devontae Campbell was injured and got replaced in the starting lineup by Kimoni Bailey. Devontae Campbell, who came back into the team after his trials from Charlton, gave them such a big spark in the last game, will be sorely missed. But the other news as well is that Topi was also missing in this defense, while Tivoli seemed that they had no such issues and brought up a full-strength squad. So the game kicked off, and immediately you could see that Mount Pleasant was eager to get things going and to score the first goal, and they controlled much of the possession. But Tivoli was well drilled and in their shape, and while Mount Pleasant had a lot of the possession, nothing was really seemed of concern to the Tivoli defense. But that defensive shell and unit came at a cost, it seems, and Tivoli could not muster anything going forward in the opposite direction. In fact, they were very even this game in the first half, and much of the gameplay in the first half petered out in the middle of the field. Nothing was given either way, but Mount Pleasant was trying their best to ping around the ball on the ground to try to carve up this resolute defensive unit by Tivoli. But the first half quickly came without a shot in anger from Tivoli, and it was interesting to see that they did not have any shots at all in anywhere. While Mount Pleasant, while they didn't get no clear chances themselves, were feeling a bit perplexed that, they couldn't carve up more chances. It seemed Drumwade was not happy with his team shining in front of goal and made 2 changes at halftime. Morrison and Horatio came into the team, and it made a huge difference as immediately Tivoli was bossing the game in the second half. They had more control and more ball was going more out wide, and their wing backs on both sides came more into the game. That allowed Justin Dunn as well as Nelson to get more chances on goal in Mount Pleasant, and Mount Pleasant were now on the back foot. So much so for the last portion of the second half, Mount Pleasant could not get out of their own half. The only thing was missing for Tivoli is to have this pressure crack, and eventually came in a way always big controversial when a ball came in from the left wing, and after some heads went up, the ball popped off what it seemed a shoulder, but the referee gave a penalty. It was an absolutely horrible call, but I have to give the referee a slight chance out of this one, since of course without Vere here. But if you look at the replay, you will see he's standing right there and had a clear view, so I'm very surprised he somehow saw a hand there. Nonetheless, it goes in football, they say the ball never lies, and Justin Dunn stood up to try to score his 12th for the season, but it was saved by Shaquan Davis. He was unable to turn it in the follow-up after a great defensive display by Dwyer to get it away from him. A missed chance by Tivoli, who felt that their pressure deserved a goal here, and credit to them, they keep it going. But Mount Pleasant on top of made some changes, and Kimoni Bailey came off for Vere, who came into the game and brought more spark into the team. In fact, he helped lead over to a counter here that he got himself open on the right side and tried to slip in Shaquille Bradford, but a resolute Brown got it out of the way or out of danger in time. That was most of what Mount Pleasant really mustered in this second half, or most of the game really, as I thought Tivoli had the better to play. But this is Mount Pleasant, and they do have their Captain Fantastic, Sule McCullough, has a knack of coming up at the right place at the right time, especially on set pieces. So when Aubrey was giving out soft foul here, just outside the box on the left-hand side, I assume all eyes should be on Sule McCullough, but somehow, some way, he found himself free in the box, free in the 6-yard box nonetheless, and got a header into the goal. This came in the 90th minute, and it was going to be unexpected victory for Mount Pleasant. Jerome Wade was probably fuming on the bench, and he can't believe his side, good play, gave up 3 points, while Topper must be delighted. It wasn't the greatest performance, but that's what champions do. You win when you're not playing well. So the captain came up clutch again, and they took home a 1-0 win. Yeah, so let's take a look at the stats quickly. So Mount Pleasant had 9 total shots compared to Tivoli's 5. Most of those shots came in the first half, but they only had 1 shot on target compared to 2 by Tivoli. So 3 corners from Mount Pleasant compared to 9 by Tivoli, which again, most of that was from the dominance in the second half. and 2 yellow card apiece. So yeah, the stats kind of backed up how this game went. Tivoli was a no-show in the first half, but they did enough to come into the half 0-0 and then turn on the Jets and Mount Pleasant and felt that they did enough to at least come away with a point here. But Mount Pleasant, and credit to their defenders and their keeper and their resolution to find a way to get a much needed win to keep pace with Cavalier. More on that later. So again, it finishes Mount Pleasant 1, Tivoli 0. So we're going to go on to the next game. This was the earlier game at Droxall at the 1 p.m. sun. Liall were desperate, absolutely desperate for some 3 points. Was taken on Dunbeholden team who seem as desperate as they have not won a game in 5 matches. Dunbeholden must be saying to themselves, this is a game they can't afford to lose. And they started the game their usual fashion, by good possession football amongst themselves. The big thing in this one, in the starting lineup, is that their main man, I feel, Nicholas Nelson, was on the bench, but a new loanees from this very same part of the world, Martin Allen and Dwight Merrick, starts for Dunbeholden. So yes, as I said, the first half was all about Dunbeholden keeping well possession and try to go at a Liall team that they know are lacking confidence. But after a couple of minutes into the game, you could probably see why Dunbeholden would have been having some hard difficulties lately in scoring the department. As their build-up play, while nice and easy in the eyes, is a bit slow, and it allowed even a poor defensive team like Liall to get enough men back to hold the defensive line. So it was going to come down some individual hard work and brilliance to probably carve up the team eventually. And that came from Martin Allen, who was having a ridiculously good game in the first half. Came up with chubs so he get past his men on the left hand side and put a low square into the box. But of course, Liall is known to help the other opposition in their defending, and they do it again when their captain somehow missed the ball in between his legs and he rolled all the way to Dwight Merrick to put it away for him. 1-0, and at this point it felt awful for Liall, who felt that they weren't particularly being troubled by Dunbeholden. Dunbeholden from there tried to kill the game off, and they tried to get behind the back line, and they played the ball much more direct and quicker, and found himself with Merrick in the box again to give them a second goal, but somehow he fluffed his lines and kicked the ball over the bar. It was a massive chance, and even though they're in total control, this is football and you need to kill off the team. And it almost proved dire, as in the second half, Liall seemed to finally change their tactics and strategy and realize that they are desperate for wins and they cannot play too coward, and they were throwing more men up front to give Marlon and Pennicoat much more help. They decided to spray the balls much more direct, but to the left and right wings, and have the wingers try to ping passes into the box, where you can find 2 to 3 more orange shirts in the box to support Marlon and Pennicoat. It was much needed, and it even carved up a chance for Pennicoat after good play on the left hand side. Saw a ball came across all the way through the box and onto the right side where Marlon Pennicoat was waiting unmarked at the back post, but somehow he couldn't turn it in as he hit the far upright. That was a big chance, but a sign of things to come, as Liall was certainly in their certainty at this point, and their direct play once again caught out Dunbeholden, where they were able to draw foul just outside the box, and then their oldest player in midfield, Stewart, stood up and make a rocket of a shot that came off the underbar, and many people wondering if it went in, but the assistant referee opinion, and that's all that matters, and he has given the goal. 1-1, and was absolutely deserved by Liall for their performance in the second half. But I have no idea what happened after that point. Liall simply gave up on their tactics, and it seemed that there were no regrets to playing for the draw, as they sat back after that and invited pressure from Dunbeholden. Dunbeholden was now coming in droves and was able to now push up their backline much further up the field. It was a bizarre move by Liall. I'm not sure that came from the coaching staff or the players on the field. It seemed that it came out of sheer fear. Nicholas Nelson, who I thought should have been starting, came on to help his team in the second half along with Ajuma Johnson, and those two started to connect well with a much giving space to Dunbeholden. Nelson, unlike his rest of his teammates, seemed to be the most direct player on the field, and he almost got one right away when he hit one over the keeper's head, but it hit the top of the bar. This was a sign of things to come, but Liall didn't adjust, and eventually Nelson again weaved his way in the left hand side to set up his left back captain Thomas to tuck away for his first goal of the season. Just to show you how much freedom the wing backs of Dunbeholden were now awarded in the second half, is that the left back could find himself in the 6-yard box to finish it off. From there, it was all the Nicholas Nelson show again, as he done well enough to assist 2 more goals, including a second one for Thomas, to give him a convincing 4-1 victory. It's a much needed win for them, and at one point they was probably worried that they might have given up a chance to get 3 points here. While Liall, all the credit should be given to them how they fought back in the first part of the second half, but I have no idea why they gave up on their tactics, and it cost them a valuable point or even more. But anyway, let's look at the stats. So Liall has 7 shots in total compared to 15 from Dunbeholden. Majority of this action came in the second half. 3 shots on target by Liall compared to 5 from Dunbeholden. 5 corners to Liall compared to 8 by Dunbeholden. And there's 4 yellow cards for Liall compared to 1 from Dunbeholden. So as I said to you, this was a weird game. Liall did well to finally show some fight and got themselves back into the game, but then threw it all away after they got the goal. It was just bizarre from them, and it seemed that they're definitely on their way back to tier 2. While Dunbeholden needed this win to get them back in the top 6, and I hope going forward that Nicholas Nelson starts more games. But anyway, it's a good victory for them, a much needed one, and the match again finishes Liall 1, Dunbeholden 4. We now head to Jerusalem, where it was supposed to be the great spectacle of the league, which is the El Clasico. It's supposed to be Waterhouse hosting Arnett Guns. And we did get the Clasico, but we got the ugly side of it. Before I even get to the controversial of what happened here, the game started out as we've been seeing lately at Waterhouse home matches, where the away team took more of the play in the first part of the game before Waterhouse worked their way into it. It was all a battle out there, and it wasn't much going forward from both sides until Waterhouse settled in a bit better and started to carry out some few chances. They even went as far as to cover this chance where the ball was able to almost go onto goal, but thanks to the Cunningham left foot, he was able to scrap and kick the ball off the line and save out the goal for Arnett Guns. But this is where the controversy hit. This happened at the 48th minute, where the home fans were not pleased with the linesman for not giving that a goal, as they believe he went over the line and allegedly bottles were thrown at or hit the assistant referee, and the game here had to be stopped for 15 minutes. It's an ugly look for the league, and it's one that we all believe that we turn our backs on back in the horrible era. It's a shame to see we're going back to this kind of football, and we don't know what's going to happen going forward. The game was able to start again after that, and it was just much of the same what we saw in the first half. Waterhouse with a slight edge in their play, but would just not have enough quality to get the goal off, while Arnett probably was thinking about the defense and tried to hold on to that defensive structure and clean sheet, couldn't muster anything going in the opposite direction. So a lot of chippiness happened towards the end of the second half, and a lot of changes break up the momentum of play as well on both sides, and the game eventually petered out to a 0-0 draw. As Arnett back-to-back 0-0 draws a tough environment, so maybe they're not too unhappy with that. Waterhouse was probably kicking himself for that taking a home field advantage. Anyway, let's look at the stats for this game. As I said, it wasn't much going on. Waterhouse had 3 total shots overall in 90 minutes compared to Arnett's 4. Now, this is where it's a struggle for the attackers. 0 shots on target by both teams. For El Clasico, that's absolutely horrible. 4 corners for Waterhouse compared to 5 for Arnett, and 2 yellow cards for Waterhouse compared to 4 for Arnett Guns. Arnett, who were criticized heavily for their defensive display in the Gardens derby 2 weeks ago, have now turned a corner around defensively after they now kept 2 clean sheets. But it seems that it has had a negative effect on their attackers, as none of them could muster anything really going forward in 2 games. While Waterhouse, another decent display at home, but no 3 points to take from it. These home matches are running out, and with this now ugly scene that happened, we're not sure how much if they will ever get any more games at Jerusalem for the rest of the season. We are waiting to hear what the JPL office will say about this one. So again, a bad ugly scene happened and an ugly football to go with it, and the game ended Waterhouse 0, Arnett Guns 0. So we now move on to Portmore United, that are looking to get themselves back into the top 3. Portmore was hosted the Harbour of Fernita Park, and of course Walsh was still out, so Barnett, who scored the big goal for them last week, continued to deputize in his absence. This game also went to script in some ways, as Portmore, while the better of the teams, was also so well drilled structurally, defensively, that Harbour was having trouble to getting anything going forward. Portmore were the better team, as I said, And while they had some decent chances in the first half, they couldn't get past anything against Samuel in the Harbour goal. It wasn't until the second half when the goal came from a likely source, which Portmore is now making a habit of doing, where Rose got up and got a goal in the 54th minute to give Portmore the 1-0 lead. From there, Harbour tried their best to come into the game more, tried to get something back into the game, but they could not get anything past a good defensive unit, as is usual with Portmore United. Again, this is another one of those games again that got a bit trippy towards the end, and no momentum was lost in terms of actual football being played, and Portmore happily took home a 1-0 win here. Anyway, what was the stats like for this game? Portmore had 11 total shots compared to 6 from Harbour. They had 7 shots on target, Portmore, compared to 1 from Harbour. 8 corners to Portmore, and it surprises Team Young did not get the end of any of those, and 4 to Harbour. 3 yellow cards, as the majority of those came in the last part of the game for Portmore compared to 1 for Harbour. Yeah, so routine victory really for Portmore, another 1-0 win. They are basically the joint second best defensive record in the league, and they keep pace for the top 2. While Harbour, as I said, really relatively they're safe from relegation, and I guess with this loss, I guess they kind of probably can give up on top 6 right now. Anyway, important win for Portmore it is, and ended with Portmore United 1, Harbour 0. We're now going to go to Westport Park, where Humble Lion pull off a big surprise victory here. But let's dig into it a bit better. So Montego United, who of course see the fans out again in droves, was hosting Humble Lion. Humble Lion, was coming off a 3-game losing streak, was hoped to put that to rest with a good performance here. While Montego United, who has done very well as of late with the new players they got, was eyeing to sneak into the top 6. So they must be thinking that this is another game they can get 3 points after missing out against Arnett at home last week. And to be honest, they started out the game just as with that same confidence. They were the majority the better team in the first half, with better the plays, better the shots, and better the possession. But it was Humble Lion who took the lead surprisingly in the 37th minute for Clan get a much surprise goal against a run of play. That didn't deter Montego Bay really. They kept the pressure up from there. They keep playing their usual style of football. But it was only until the second half that they got it back into the game from Vere from the penalty spot. 1-1 at that point. And Montego was pushing for the go-ahead goal, but I guess they pushed too much. And Thompson came up trumps in the 96th minute to give Humble Lion a shock victory in Westport Park. This was a momentous victory for Humble Lion, one that can basically give more confidence in the Reynolds project, while at the same time put a severe dent in Montego Bay United's hopes for the top 6. Montego Bay plays better at home, so the fact that they are now in the last 2 matches they only got 1 point in return, they'll be feeling the hurt from that. Anyway, let's look at the stats for this one. So Montego Bay United, as I said, had a better play throughout the game. They had 12 total shots compared to Humble Lion's 5. They were much more even in shots on target, of course. Montego Bay only had 2, while Humble Lion had 2. 9 corners to Montego Bay to show their dominance compared to 2 for Humble Lion. 1 yellow card to Montego Bay compared to 2 for Humble Lion. But Humble Lion, massive impressive win here. And majority of the people did not give them a chance going to Montego Bay and getting anything, much less a victory. So hopefully this boosts their confidence going forward. We move on to the big relegation 6-pointer of the day. And that was Treasure Beach. That was hosting Molynes United instead. Treasure Beach are under new management and got a confident point in Dunbeholden last week. We're hoping to take care of Molynes, who is the closest to them to get out of relegation at home. While Molynes will know that they cannot slip up here, any slip up and award Treasure Beach a victory will see them in deep relegation trouble once more. Well, the game was fairly even, wasn't much was going on in the first half, as both teams didn't muster much really. Treasure Beach were playing the better football a bit, and slightly shading it, and couldn't get away with anything going forward though. So the first half ended 0-0. All the action happened in the second half though. And what action it was. Not only that we had a missed penalty by Treasure Beach, we also saw Treasure Beach take the lead by Thompson in the 50th minute, only for Frankson to equalize in the 55th minute. The game got stretched from here and it was back and forth all the way up to the 90th minute, where Brown gave what Molynes thought was the much needed victory here in the 91st minute, only for the 94th minute for Treasure Beach to go up the other end and get the equalizer. It sent off the home fans into some crazy reactions and jubilant scenes, and Treasure Beach eked out a much needed point out of this one. But to be honest, the point helps more Molynes here in the fight for relegation, but even them was feeling sorry for themselves as they once again let a late lead slip away. Anyway, let's look at the stats for this one. So Treasure Beach had 12 total shots compared to Molynes 8. Treasure Beach had 6 shots on target compared to Molynes 2. Treasure Beach had 3 corners compared to Molynes 4. 3 yellow cards for Treasure Beach and 1 for Molynes United. So yeah, good fight back for the Treasure Beach. They avoided defeat in the last minute, but honestly they needed 3 points here. I won't write them off yet because they're showing some life in how they play and they're getting goals again. So this is all good news for them. But it might be a little too late with 7 rounds remaining. While Molynes have a problem here, a problem they've been having all throughout the season, I didn't necessarily change with the change in management. They are now holding on to leads and they need to find a way to fix that quickly. But for now, they did enough to get away with a point here and keep Treasure Beach at bay in the relegation battle. Again, it finished Treasure Beach 2, Molynes United 2. To the final game on Sunday, and a game where the big talk of this one was that coach Rudolph Speed, with a Beacon Cup Champions Cup match in midweek, actually put out a strong lineup against Vere. There was a change in goal as Bartlett comes into goal, but majority of the usual starting 11 was remaining intact. In fact, he actually played Orlando Russell and Chanel Thomas with Calvin up front as he went for the juggler. And did it prove dividend? Indeed it did, as within 15 minutes Calvin got onto a goal and getting a 1-0 lead. It was all Cavalier throughout the most of this match, and they even doubled up their goal with Atkinson in the 36th minute. At 2-0 down, Vere is when they finally start to play their football and try to get back in the game, but it was too little too late to get really muster anything. They did get some shots on target and Bartlett came up with some good saves, but in the end, Cavalier rode out another clean sheet and managed a 2-0 victory over Vere. What's the stats like in this one? Well, there were even total shots, 8 for Cavalier, 8 for Vere, 4 shots on target for Cavalier compared to 3 from Vere, 3 corners for Cavalier compared to 6 corners for Vere, and 2 yellow cards for Cavalier compared to 3 for Vere. So yeah, I expected Rudolph Speed to rotate his squad, and because of that, I thought it would be a much closer game by Vere. But credit to Speed, he decides, he doesn't want to give up that number 1 spot in the table right now, and he will worry about Thursday when Thursday comes. The team played brilliantly, and it shows that when the time comes for it, they can move from the defensive shell to a much more attacking display when needed. Playing Russell and Chanel with Cavalier up front was a good idea. While Vere, this is another loss for them. They're free falling at the moment, and they're lucky that they have enough points that they're probably safe from relegation. But you know, after one, the Livian Dixon job is on the line now. Too much losses are racking up, and there was no chance, you would think, for a top 6 from this point. So you must wonder what direction they go from here. But nonetheless, it ends Cavalier 2, Vere United 0. So yeah, people, that was match week 19. And apart from the ugly scenes in the Classico, it was some pretty decent football played all around. So let's look at the standings where that leaves us after 19 matches played. Cavalier, no surprise here, are still on top with 43 points from their 19 games played. Mount Pleasant are hot on their trails in second with 42 points. Portmore back in the top 3 with 39 points after 19 games played. Tivoli slipped to 4th now because of the loss with 37 points after 19 games. Arnett stays stable in 5th with 35, and there is a big drop off now to 6th where Waterhouse still hangs on by the mere thread of their goal difference with 27 points. Dunbeholden are in 7th, also on 27 points. Montego United miss out on a glorious chance to get back into it as they are in 8th place with 23 points. Molynes did well and move up the table now, and they're in 9th with 21 points and can see a light to catch at top 6 if they keep consistent from here. Harbour now are in 10th from 19 points. Vere slipped all the way to 11th and 19 points as well. Molynes United remain as they are in 12th with 17 points, and try to be get another point on the board in 13th place with 9 points. Liall remain bottom of the table with 7 points from 19 games played. So yes, people, that's where match week 19 leaves us, and we go forward looking forward to match week 20. The season is winding down, The cream of the crop is now starting to take themselves away from the rest of the pack. But for now, that it's it from us here at Jamaican Fan. Book up on yourself, and please remember to like, subscribe, and share for all things Jamaican Premier League right here on Jamaican Fan. We'll be back Wednesday to preview the big CONCACAF Champions League match for Cavalier versus FC Cincinnati. Until then, big up on yourself, YouTube. See you next time.